Hi folks, it's Steve Grizzetti again, co-founder of MoviePix.com and author of the MoviePix.com Guide to CyberLink PowerDirector Ultimate. And here we are in part 3 of our 8-part series on basic training with CyberLink PowerDirector Ultimate. Now, building out your timeline is really pretty simple in CyberLink PowerDirector. You're going to simply drag clips down to the timeline. But before you do that, there are some very cool tools available in the media room that are well worth checking out. By the way, these are called rooms here on the left-hand side. They give you access to your media content, to your effects, to your video overlays, to particles and titles and other cool features in the program. We'll be exploring many of these here in this basic training series. If you right-click on, say, a longer clip here in the media room, you have a couple of cool options for preparing your files before you add them to your timeline. So for instance, if we select Edit using Content-Aware Editing, this opens up a really high-end, kind of powerful tool. Now, this would be much more effective if we had, say, a 5-minute clip. We had an action cam that recorded a whole bunch of stuff, and we only want to use parts of it. You notice that the program itself has already done some analysis. It's found areas of the video clip where there's speech, where there's motion, where the video is too shaky, and in fact, it offers to correct it for you if you click on that little wrench. Where the lighting is poor. So it's finding elements or quality issues in the video. But the point of content-aware editing is to be able to get smaller segments from a larger video, or to get the best segments from a larger video. That's why it's doing this quality analysis. To select a segment, you simply come over here and press Mark In, move the playhead a little more, Mark Out. Now there's a segment, and when I click Add to Selected, it will appear over here on the right. So I can move along my timeline here and select little sub-segments, adding them to my library. Now, this isn't very effective on the short clip, but like I say, if you've got a really long clip and you just want to grab some of the best moments from it, this is a great tool for doing that. Once you're finished selecting your best moments, if you click OK, the program adds the best moments that you've selected from that longer clip to the timeline here. So you don't get the entire clip, you only get its best moments. Another way to prepare a clip before you add it to the timeline is to right-click on it here in the media panel and select Precut. Now, Precut is kind of a more simplified version of content-aware editing. In other words, we're just going to select from this clip a shorter clip. This little window, don't worry about this. This is just so you can zoom in or out of the timeline. But once again, we can select a beginning by grabbing on this little, let me get this out of the way, by grabbing on this little starting point, and an end by grabbing on the end point, and we can select just one segment of a longer clip. If we go over here to the second tab, Multi-Trim, we can use these mark in and out points to once again select several sub-clips. You notice they're being added to this little library here on the right from a larger clip. And when I click OK, these pre-cut clips, you notice this little up arrow here in the media room. If I click on that, these pre-cut clips are actually saved in a sort of subfolder. And you can see that subfolder indicated on this clip here. If I click on that, I go back into the folder where I can see the pre-cut pieces. Now, once the clip is on the timeline, you can still cut it into smaller pieces. So you've got a really long clip. And this is essentially the same process if you just select it and then select this little scissors icon here in the upper left of the timeline. That opens up a very similar tool. It's called Trim rather than Precut once the clip is on the timeline. But once again, if you select Multi-Trim here, you can take a longer clip and cut it into shorter pieces and only get the best moments from that clip rather than having to deal with a real long clip and do the trimming on the timeline. Lots of cool features here for preparing your video before you get into the actual editing of it. Now in part 4, we're going to actually add our media to the timeline, look at the ripple function, and how the timeline functions here in CyberLink PowerDirector. That's part 4. Hope you'll join me then.